Poland confronts an increasingly difficult balancing act: how to navigate its foreign policy between a deeply integrated European Union, in which it will temporarily lead legislative negotiations, and its indispensable security partnership with the United States. Controversial remarks by U.S. Ambassador to Warsaw Tom Rose have sparked debate in both Brussels and Warsaw after he claimed on X that the EU's upcoming omnibus package of directives, set to debut during Poland's 2025 EU presidency, would kill jobs, stifle innovation and drive American companies out of Europe. His comments add new tension to transatlantic discussions. As Poland prepares to steer key EU legislative work, it may face a growing dilemma between aligning with EU priorities and maintaining its crucial partnership with the United States. To unpack these dynamics, we speak to EU expert Piotr Kaczyński. Good morning, Piotr. Happy to have you. Thank you for coming this morning. So let me just quote Tom Rose from his introductory short movie to his Warsaw Post. He said, "Poland is not only friend, Poland is family." And yet, his latest remarks, could have a glimpse of the simulated threat, because Tom Rose wrote, "Make no mistake, President Trump is watching." So do you see his comments as an isolated diplomatic somehow misstep, or a part of a broader U.S. strategy here?
Not at all. It's not a misstep. It may be a misstep in the sense that Ambassador Rose clearly has confused two acts that were going on in two processes, because omnibus is an attempt to deregulate, not over-regulate, something that potentially has been over-regulation before, because we talk about the EU Green Deal that has been introduced and laid out since 2019 with a number of acts, and a lot of those acts are putting major restrictions on companies in the European Union.
So it's true that one may get confused,
yes,
especially when you're an American diplomat watching from...
But to answer your question, this is not an incidental remark here. We've seen top US representatives a year ago directly interfering with German elections. If this is family, America is behaving like a parent that is not asking for details, but is just telling us what to do. And sorry guys, we are no Guatemala.
So just like Secretary General of NATO said, Mark Rutte, right? A big daddy. But how might these remarks affect Poland's ability to negotiate at present within the EU?
Look, it just shows how delicate Americans are, and how delicate the issue is to deal with the Americans. So Prime Minister Tusk intervened, and he tried to explain to Ambassador Rose what is it all about. This is not about regulation, over-regulation, but it is actually about deregulation of something that was already a bit complex out there. So from this perspective, Ambassador Rose should welcome this process, that will be easier to make business, and this is a kind of hidden agenda potential out there. Maybe Americans do not want European companies to be too competitive, and maybe they want European companies to be restricted by European strong laws, so that Americans can easily compete with them elsewhere in the world.
All right, interesting perspective. So how about this omnibus package of directives? Could you please give us a glimpse of what they actually are?
Look, it's not that simple or easy, so we have limited time, of course. There are 5 or 6 omnibuses overall, and this is one of the biggest ones of them. And it includes a number of legal acts in it related to reporting mostly, and reporting on energy performance. So ESG. ESG stands for Environmental Security Governance, reporting of companies on how they are performing, which has been a major act out there. Another one, taxonomy, which is putting limitation on how energy companies can operate on the market. So I don't want to go too much into details about it.
Into specifics, right? But since China is also introducing the same regulations, it must somehow provide competitiveness and raise competitiveness worldwide, right? So in this respect, Tom Rose is not right. So what, in your view, diplomatically speaking and from the global perspective, how do you perceive the whole situation here? And what does this episode reveal about the state of play between US, EU, Poland in between?
It shows us that this American administration needs to catch up with the modern world, how the modern world operates. We do not need them to tell us that we need to move back to 19th century solutions. We need them, ideally, to get with us to the 21st century and, for example, join the fight to address the issue of climate change. While we are meeting, there's a meeting in Belém, in Brazil, where leaders of the world, except Americans, are trying to push this process going, including Europeans and including the Chinese. You mentioned the Chinese because both Europeans and the Chinese, they want to decarbonize. This is why we put on this straitjacket on our economy, so that we pollute less. In the process, we get cheaper energy with renewables, we get cleaner air, cleaner soil, so everybody wins. But the process is costly and lengthy.
Exactly. So to what extent do you think Poland will face pressure to choose between aligning with EU, institutional priorities, political priorities on one hand, and those that Poland has been pushing forward itself, right? And on the other side, maintaining goodwill with Washington?
Well, Poland has been this country that has been pushing for deregulation. Even if you look at this omnibus vote, which was highly controversial in the European Parliament just a couple of days ago, which sparkled Ambassador Rose's tweet or statement on X, then this shows that all MEPs elected from Poland, or great majority of them, from both this divided pro-government and opposition, have voted en bloc. They voted in the same way because they all support deregulation. This is not exactly the same pattern with the other member states. The issue is much more divisive. So Poland is on deregulation move. It wants to loosen the straitjacket. This is what Americans should welcome effectively if we take it of what they are saying by word. But for it, we need to have some kind of credibility, and they have to trust us. And I'm not sure if Americans are trusting Europeans at large and Poles in particular.
But Donald Tusk had a brilliant intervention with this remark, correcting Ambassador Tom Rose, right? I think it was to the point.
I think it was to the point, and I hope the ambassador got that point, that he needs his team in Warsaw. That is probably quite well established here to help him understand the nuances out there. Because if you just go at it, you need to know what are you going at exactly.
Absolutely. Which brings me also to a question about the internal politics here. What do you think, Piotr? How will this affect and have a play internally, right, between Law and Justice and Civic Platform? How will this episode of another stir shape this dynamic here?
I think the arrival of Ambassador Rose will play in the hands of the conservatives or the nationalist camp. But what we see right now, after the presidential elections we had earlier this year, there's a certain stabilization at the political sphere. Of course, you'll have infighting between the biggest camps out there, but the biggest interest or the biggest interesting developments are within both camps. So within the nationalist camp and within the, if you like, democratic camp. And those two camps right now are positioning themselves ahead of 2027 elections. And the government is formed by one bloc, and they're trying to rule. The opposition has a presidency, and they are trying to organize themselves. In each camp, you have multiple actors, and they are more interested in organizing themselves ahead of 2027 than actually fight the other side, because the population at large is divided around 50-50. It may be 49-51, but if you have any kind of sociological transfers, it's within the camps, not between the camps. And then in 2027, it will be all about how the two camps are organized and who is more motivated to show up and vote.
So it happens that overnight President Trump has praised Karol Nawrocki, and he said Poland has been great. He commended conservative president, saying that he is fantastic. He's going to be a great president. Do you see it as a coincidence, or simply?
Ambassador Rose just started, and clearly there is a link in this sense that President Trump was reminded about the Polish president, so he tweeted about the Polish president, who is ideologically from the same camp as President Trump. So of course there's a lineage out there. The two gentlemen have met number of times already. So there is this kind of closeness, ideological closeness between the two. But I'm not sure that President Nawrocki will be the first phone number that President Trump will actually call if he wants to call anybody in Europe. That remains Prime Minister Meloni, and it is going to remain like this for a long time.
So what option Poland has for managing this tension diplomatically, do you think?
Calm the waters. Calm the waters and put Ukrainian issues, especially the war between Ukraine and Russia, or Russia's war in Ukraine, first, because this is Polish direct interest, and to keep America engaged in this process, and not have President Trump forget about this issue out there, because there's so many issues in the world. If you look at American news, Venezuela is somehow becoming a much hotter potato than some distant war.
Another proxy war for the United States. So Ambassador conceded. Prime Minister Donald Tusk was right in saying that Poland's demand for less bureaucracy.
Calming the waters.
Right. Does it end here?
No, but hopefully there will be fewer mistakes in the future. So if Ambassador Rose takes it on board, and it seems that this is lesson learned, that maybe there will be fewer mistakes of that sort. And then if you are just doing politics, or from your angle, that's fair enough. And we'll see how that relationship will develop. We may hope that as previous ambassador of United States under President Trump, couple years ago, the U.S. ambassador will not necessarily play into hands of one or the other camp, even though ideologically they may be closer to one, but they may be a little bit able to help the two camps to talk to one another sometimes.
The unforgettable Georgette Mosbacher and Tom Rose, a great admirer, by the way, of Polish history and the strong partnership with the United States. So, keeping our fingers crossed. Thank you so much. Piotr Kaczyński, EU expert, has been our guest. Thank you so much again for being with us today.
Thank you.